Hey y'all, it's July the 22nd, 2017. Hey y'all, last night I made a video pertaining to the Word of God and just how dangerous it can be. And a lot of people are going to look at it and think, oh my gosh, put him up in the loony bin. That dude's done lost it. I know that that's what they're going to think. But I made a video last night pertaining to the Word of God and how dangerous it can be. And also how healing it can be, how helpful it can be to other human beings around you. But it could also be very dangerous, in fact deadly, is what I was implying in the previous video. Now, I woke up this morning, and I've been up for a while, seeing all sort of crazy things happening on the internet, a lot of them. And I had to let you know, from what I've been hearing, there's actually been more developments in and around the Caitlin Nicole Davis situation, which I'm sure that you're well aware of. There's been some more developments just this morning, and I find that it's probably going to be pretty profitable to note what's happening over there. It seems as though, from what I've heard, that one of Tammy's sisters, Tammy being Caitlin's mom, one of Tammy's sisters then died. I don't know if it was late last night. I don't know if it was this morning or what happened. Thing is, I don't have like hardly any details, but this is going to be very noteworthy. I can tell you that right now. I don't hardly have any of the details, but from what I've heard, alright, from inside sources, what I've heard is Tammy's sister, as you might well imagine, is 39 years old when she's died. Just right now. 39 years old. And so, of course, the question is going to pop into anybody's head who's curious, how did she die? Alright, because that's not usual. And it seems as though, from what I've heard, nobody really saw it coming. Alright, so there's going to be, as you would imagine, an autopsy administered. Alright, it's going to take a little while for people to figure out, okay, what happened to this lady? She shouldn't be dying at 39 years old. Alright, it's going to be all sort of speculation as well. Just like we were talking about last night, it's going to be all sort of speculation as to what the heck, because it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to get the autopsy report. And in the meantime, there is going to be quite a lot of speculation, if you will, throughout the rumor mill. Alright? Thing is, I get the sinking feeling that we already know the answer to this in regards to what we were discussing last night. I get a very bad feeling that that is the case right here. And let me explain to you how that is, because here's the thing. We were focusing on people hanging themselves. There's no reason to believe that Tammy's sister didn't hang herself. Nobody yet knows why it is she died. Alright, so this is not similar in that instance. Alright, she did not hang herself from what we know. Alright, but she did die. And the thing is, like I said, it's very noteworthy because everyone has their eyes on Caitlin's family, to include Tammy's family. Alright? This is how, I mean, it's going to be instantly, people are definitely going to be talking about this. Way more people than myself are going to be talking about how Tammy's sister just died. Everybody has their eyes on it. What you have to understand is, quite obviously, in this family, what's taking place is a pattern of people dying, death. A lot of it. And the thing is, that's not particularly unique. That's actually happening all over the place. You know, if you really want to look, you're going to find some families are swimming in death. And all sort of mental dysfunction too, including especially my own family, dude. I'm not tripping, but the thing is, alright, people are watching this. And they're seeing that this lady died. And I'm not sure, I don't know her name. Alright. Tammy's sister done died, and everybody is focused on that family right now. We don't know why she's dead, But if it has anything to do with what we were discussing last night, I have to explain to you this: you can't run from the Word of God. Like, here's the thing: the Word of God, all it is truth. I mean, if I were to give you an example, like a literal extreme example, is like, imagine you had your father around and the stove was on. He told you, don't touch that stove, it's gonna burn you. Alright? And then as a kid, you're curious, you touch the stove and you burn the shit up out of your hand and stuff, and you think to yourself, man, I shouldn't have done that. I really shouldn't have done that. He told me not to. That is the Word of God. When He told you not to, it's because He cares for you. It's because a person cares for you, they tell you the Word of God. Alright, so what happens is it enters a person's brain and they either choose to follow it or totally ignore it. And what I need to stress is that that's going to lead to their death, actually, inevitably. And I'm not excluded for this. Like, I really could go that way too. Thing is, I'm not some sort of perfect person coming out and having all sort of profitable knowledge. I mean, this has been said before. Alright, these people are going to succumb to the Word of God, and I know it sounds crazy. You might be thinking, well, Caitlin's case is not similar to her aunt's case because she probably didn't hang herself, from what we know. Alright, so you might be thinking, well, then how's that the Word of God that done that to her? Alright, well, here's the thing. Earlier, we were discussing the correlation of, the pills and how they expedite the whole situation. They make people, in fact, expedite them own selves by hanging themselves. Alright? It's quick, fast. It gets done. This is what the pills do. But the pills don't necessarily kill the person. The Word of God is actually the origin what killed the person. Because there's going to be a constant... Remember I said there's a voice in your head. If you ever hear a voice in your head, you might as well call it the devil. Alright? You might as well. I don't care what name you give it. There's a voice in your head. And it'll be talking and talking. If you receive the Word of God in your head, it ain't never going to leave. So these two voices are going to be constantly arguing with each other. However, the Word of God doesn't even need words. The Word of God is not going to speak to you in that way. So what you're going to hear is the word of Satan talking and talking and talking and talking. It's going to drive you insane. And inevitably, you might, if you're on these pills, you might go ahead and expedite your own self. And your death will come. Alright? So that's the significance of the pills, but it always comes back to the Word of God. Now, when we're talking about situations that are apart from that aren't hanging themselves, which, by the way, like we've already stated, I mean, it's a hard way to kill yourself. Most people don't kill themselves that way. They'll either like poison themselves, which is probably the most popular way in the world to poison yourself, or shoot yourself with a gun, like something quick. Hanging takes a long time. Unless you snap your own neck, and most of these people ain't doing it. Alright, so we have that situation, but we have, on the other hand, situations that don't happen like that. We got people with all sort of disease out here. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of people dying at young ages. Alright, it might not be the majority necessarily, but it's a great big number because we all know people who are dying. Unfortunately, the suggestion that I have to give to you, if you have the time to listen to it, alright, humbly I submit to you that it was the Word of God that killed these other people too. Because see, even if they're not popping pills, which, like we said, it expedites the whole process. Even if they're not popping pills, the Word of God enters their brain. And it could be on any level. It's not that it'll make you into a God or something like that. When you hear the Word of God, you just follow it because you know that somebody cares about you, and that's actually God caring about you. You follow the Word of God because you heard it from somebody else's mouth talking to you. That person cares about you enough to tell you the Word of God because God cares about you. Right? You hear the Word of God, and it'll never leave your brain. Ever. It'll never ever leave your brain. That's the only thing that I can promise you, is that will never leave your brain. Alright? And when you hear the word of God and you ignore it, and you go the other way, you try to pretend that you didn't hear it, you're gonna hear that Satan fella. And that Satan fella is gonna be yapping away. The word of God, he's gonna be on the other side. I don't know if you can see him. This is the word of God. He ain't gonna be saying a thing. He doesn't have to say a thing. Because you already heard the word of God. The word of God only has to say one sentence. If it sticks in your head, you'll never get it out. You'll never get it out. You'll never get it out. I'll never get it out. If I get the word of God in my head and I choose to ignore it, and I choose to go the complete opposite way, I won't never get that word out, and inevitably it's going to lead to my death, probably my premature death, as he understands what's happening in all these cases. And it'll come in any number of forms. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It'll come in any number of forms, to include and especially cancer, to include heart problems. You understand that I hear about these problems all the time, right? To include that you can't sleep real good, to include all sort of skin problems, to include lung issues, to include digestion issues. You understand that I hear about this all the time? Alright? They all have a common denominator. People out there trying to look for the cure for cancer or the cure for this, they separate it all into distinct groups of why people are dying before they should die. Alright, they separate it all, not understanding or maybe not wanting to understand. It's all the same origin. This person was administered the word of God upon them. It's stuck in their brain. They ain't never going to get it out. Satan's going to be arguing with it and arguing with it until cancer just develops in your body. Alright, until your heart does start having problems and stuff, and you have to think about that real quick. That's what's going to happen, because you hear this arguing only coming from one side. Meanwhile, unfortunately, and this can go for me too, you ignored the word of God and you went down a dark path. Alright? And it led to these health problems. It led to the relationship problems. It led to financial problems. It led to all sort of problems, cancer problems. It led to depression problems. It led to all sort of problems. It doesn't matter what kind of problems. They all came from the Word of God, unfortunately. And there is no running away from it. We're in too deep. You already heard too much. I've already heard too much. Can't run away from this. The message has already been delivered. Alright? So, unfortunately, the best thing that we could choose to do, if we don't want to die this early age, alright? And I never purported that I think I'm going to grow to be old. Like, I don't get the feeling that I will. And I've said this many, many a times. But the thing is, for those out there who don't want to die at an early age, and I'm not saying I do want to, I'm just saying I can't imagine that I would make it too much longer. The thing is, for those who do want to live that far, all they need to do is remember the words of God that were told to them and act on it. Do exactly what you've been told. And then when you do that, what you're going to notice is all sort of success around you. What you're going to notice is a sense of peace, weight come up off of you. Alright, that is what you're going to notice. That's you coming closer to God. Alright, because you heard of the Word of God and you acted upon it. And it helped you with the underlying problems to all of your surface problems. Alright, thereby alleviating them. It really is that easy. However, you could choose to ignore it, and stuff can get real for you. I mean, like, you really can. There's people out there who want to live to be very old, and they won't make it because the Word of God had already been delivered, and it's going to mess with their brains. Right? And at the same time, you got to understand it's not a completely depressing story, because you can listen to the Word of God and find all sort of success. Not only that, I don't know if y'all ever heard of people recovering from cancer. There's been a lot of them. There's been because people don't like to believe in fantastical things like the Bible and stuff like that. They don't like to believe it. They call it fairy tales. There's been many folks who have miraculously recovered from cancer, from all sort of stages of cancer, miraculously. I know you don't want to believe stuff out there. I know you don't want to hear about none of the saints and stuff like that and all that fantastical stuff. You don't want to hear about that, but it's been well documented that people have miraculously recovered from all sort of cancer and all sort of different things that would make them die probably. Right? And what I'm here to tell you is, when it comes to all those people, they were all told different things. They were all told different truths. They were all administered the Word of God. What they did is they listened to it. They absorbed it. They acted upon it. Their cancer went away. And that's how simple this is. I can't tell you who's telling you the Word of God. I don't know who's in your life talking to you. But what I can tell you is that there is someone out there who's administering the Word of God, especially if you listen to people on the internet. There's people administering the Word of God to you right now. You could choose to ignore it. You could choose to argue with it. You could choose to say all sort of different words. An argument with the Word of God, it doesn't matter, because the Word of God has been delivered to your brain. It's a matter of time. It is a deadly situation, unfortunately. And just to wrap it up, like I've been saying, anybody could drop a bomb of truth, the Word of God, on somebody. It will heal them or it will destroy them. That's the game that's being played right now. And we're balls deep up in the tribulation. It's happening on all sort of different levels. I see everywhere I look, someone's dropping the Word of God on somebody. And it does not matter their religion, their gender, their sex, and all that sort of stuff. None of that matters. The Word of God is being dropped on many of people right now, to various degrees. And it's going to be some carnage off of it. And that doesn't bring me no joy to say that. Anyways, it's July the 22nd, 2017, and I'll holler at y'all.